one day and awesome, yeah. Yeah, so I remember like a friend got it from Redbox and brought it over to a friend's house, and we literally like laughed our asses off so hard that like a week
Awesome.
later we had to rewatch it again to like catch the whole story.
Good. Well, I hope you were a little drunk the first time you watched it or something. That's how I think it should be viewed.
No, yeah, definitely very drunk the first time I saw it. um but yeah, man, like it's Bindle Stiffs is such a this interesting movie to me because like it is like a raunchy ass comedy, and it has all those sort of like elements of like the super bad and all that shit, but it's so much
Right.
more unhinged.
Thanks.
Partly because it is an independent movie and all that, but also because you guys were actual teenagers, and that was an authentic thing. Like,
Right.
was there any sort of aspect of you that was like aware of the fact that you are making a comedy and you are able to take it this far? And was that something that you really sort of just reveled in?
Yeah, I think we were definitely consciously trying to make that type of Hollywood comedy that was popular then, but like from a in a kind of more real, much more like what felt real to us as opposed to like what felt real to, Judd Apatow when he was writing,
Yeah,
uh, but I like the trick of it was, yeah, we wanted it to have a very conventional, like premise and like in some ways structure and pacing and that kind of thing, but then like use that as a trick to get people to watch things they couldn't unsee or hear things that they couldn't unhear.
right, yeah.
But I love shock and schlock, and I love uh, documentary style and making. I was definitely influenced by Curb Your Enthusiasm and this and the Duplass brothers and this the whole. We were one of the kind of last mini DV mumblecore movies. If
Yeah.
you look at kind of when that movement kind of ended, um,
That's
and
funny. I never thought of it as a mumblecore movie, but that actually makes absolute sense.
right, because all the dialogue is improvised.
Huh?
All the dialogue was improvised.
Yeah.
Uh, there was no script, just like rough outlines, and that's kind of my approach. Is sort of I always I'm making a new feature right now.
Mhm.
There's a trailer for it somewhere you can check out. It's called Techno Burger.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so I'm finally making that second feature, which is awesome, but it's
Awesome.
also a ton of work. You have to be able to kind of drop out of your life to make it's a little bit bigger budget than Middle Stiffs, but not much. Um, but yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place. Just spoke up. What was your original question?
No, no,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's fine. Well, I was talking about how, like, I mean, part of the what I think makes Bendelsif such a like unique film is that it is like so authentically adolescent. The fact that it is like so unhinged, but like another thing that that really sticks out to me, like especially now after all this time, is that like in the third act there is like a dramatic turn when the old prostitute or the old like hobo lady gets shot. uh
right, right.
yeah, I remember watching it with my girlfriend who was watching it for the first time, and we were both just kind of laughing at it as a comedy, but like when she got shot, like she audibly gasped and like it
Yeah.
it brought down the thing. So like was there a lot of work that you put into like trying to make that moment specifically like hit so hard, or was that just sort of something incidental that came in the making of it?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we had thought about her from like a religious perspective of like I'm a pretty hardcore atheist, and but uh I like to examine how religion affects people's behavior, even if they're just like how that's sort of built in there. So we always thought about her as being sacrificed, and we always kind of knew we wanted to end it with her dying.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Part of my process, and it's cool because I'm able to do, I'm kind of back to that with this, with my feature.
Uh-huh.
It is to sort of kind of make the film in pieces.
Uh-huh.
So I make a portion of it, and honestly kind of doing all the processes, so post-production, production, writing, all at the same time, in some ways, because it's sort of like film is more of a, my films are more of a living, breathing organism to me. And so a lot of it came from, a lot of the story choices came from doing the initial shoot, because we would shoot on, vacations and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm working with my friends who, we've got day jobs, and so we have to kind of shoot in little bursts, so we don't get fired.
Yeah.
You know, and we would kind of edit pieces of it together and then look at that and then kind of write to fill in gaps. I really think about it like sculpting.
Yeah.
So kind of we were able to be watching our first act of the movie to kind of figure out exactly before we went and shot the third act, or the second act. But then we'd also shoot a lot of alternate versions of things. Like we had like 4 different endings.
Uh-huh.
But we would see them. We had the luxury because it's such a small crew and so cheaply made that we could just be like, no, fuck this didn't work, like we're gonna go back and reshoot this and change what it is and rewrite this. But to your question about the gunshot stuff, I mean, that's mainly sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember really not even liking, that was an early scene that we had shot, and I remember not even liking some of the coverage we had gotten of that from an editing perspective, but the sound kind of saved it. And once it, it was all, we shot we had a 3-hour cut, and then we cut that down to 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is sort of what I'm ending up doing here with Technoburger too, is just I go long and then whittle it down, because it's all that documentary process.
How far along are you on Technoburger?
Well, we just raised 35K on Kickstarter.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I've shot about 40% of the 60% of the movie. I have like 40 left to shoot, and we're shooting that in January. So I actually have like 4 weeks to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna be fun. Yeah, I'll send you a link to the.
Yeah, please. See, that's funny because 10 years ago I was making movies too.
Okay, you're a filmmaker too.
Yeah. Just yeah, I was making movies 10 years ago, and like the film I was making while I was watching your movie, funny enough, was very similar, because like we went into it with like a 30-page script, and we shot half of it, and me and my co-writing partner were like, we saw what we had, and we were like, we have way better actors than our script, like is our script is not up to snuff, like for how good of actors we got. So we took her down and like piece by piece, put the movie together until like eventually, it's like an hour, it's like an hour-long little dramedy, like, but it's like my most like well-liked, well-received thing that I ever done. I'm super proud of it. So like I like that organic sort of process to that. And like was that like a direct response to the mumblecore? Was that like a really intentional thing that you did?
Yeah, I mean, I made a lot of short films, and I've always been obsessed with indie film, and that's in fact, after Bindlestiffs, we got these agents and we were writing for Hollywood, and it just sucked. And I was very unhappy, and it was also just like, I'm sure from all this strike stuff, it's like writers get a shit end of the stick. And everyone just wanted us to make another Virgin comedy or whatever, but the sort of 10-year realization, I made a lot of things in between, but to make another feature was just like, no, what I love to do is Bindlestiffs, making movies with my friends, taking that process, and luckily, like all these, people have continued to pursue this as a career, and so are much better at it than when we were 18. But the whole thing in my mind, it sounds like, and you probably I imagine you had a blast making that movie.
Oh yeah.
And I think that bleeds into the frame. Like, I think fun is the thing that Hollywood is the worst at.
Yeah.
And that if the set is having an incredible time, then, and everyone's inspired and focused and on the same page, but like it's I think about making movies like going to camp.
Yeah.
And that I think is really crucial. And then what you're saying about writing to the actors that you had and that kind of thing, it's like the creative constraints of being like, okay, with Bindlestiffs, we were like, well, it's the cheapest, easiest way for us to shoot is in a motel room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we would go back to this shitty fucking sketchy motel that happened to be, because it's Houston, so happened to be like pretty close to where I grew up.
Yeah.
And we would just talk. We would ask the lady at the front desk for the same room every time.
Mhm.
And that was like, okay, this is like a way to shoot for $50 a day and have a location. And kind of getting to know the people there, and being able to, it's like, okay, Luke had an El Camino. So we're like, okay, we're going to use that.
Real Robert
Tricking,
Rodriguez stuff.
yeah, and tricking our private school and letting us shoot there without them knowing what the hell it was.
Yeah.
They could see the pants off of us. And I lived next door to the mall, so it was like, and I grew up in that mall, so I was like, let's go shoot in the mall. Like, the worst that happens is we get kicked out, which we did. And yeah, just sort of you. And then we wrote John for John. We wrote Luke for Luke. I had known Will Fordyce, who plays Charlie the security guard, was actually an improv teacher for the high school.
Nice.
So we got him, and he helped us cast Jordan R. Coleman, the guy, the janitor guy, and filling in those blanks. And yeah, I mean, it was just sort of, sometimes we would go just walk around Target and like find a prop that kind of gave us an idea.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that kind of stuff. And I think there's a huge, I do better when I know what my constraints are than if I'm trying to like match whatever was in my head,
Yeah.
that kind
No,
of thing.
there is definitely, yeah. I mean, I feel like that comes across in the movie a lot because it is such a like a spontaneous, in the moment sort of like thing. It feels like a situation that's just getting increasingly out of hand.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I can't imagine like a Hollywood production with all its structure trying to take that and replicate it and put it into a jar. Is there like, beyond that aspect of it, is there just something that is just fundamentally missed when you try to make it in that sort of studio style?
Yeah, I think uh it's exploration.
Mhm.
It's a lot of luxury, I think, to make a film really small,
Yeah.
and with a small crew. The bigger the crew gets, the more rigid the organization, the structure, the time schedule, all of those things become.
Right.
Um, and so if it's, I think more about, I look at my actors more as a lot of my actors more as performance artists than even actors,
Right.
because that's the kind of thing that's sort of the approach that I take to acting, like the actual acting character stuff. I just sort of try to keep it as close to the real person as possible.
Huh?
And that seems to, and what I add in is like, I try to pull out the primal, weird, animalistic stuff.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed, doing that. And I don't think I could I mean, I could try,
Right.
and if I've learned through since making Middle Steps that I have to like heavily articulate my process to even indie crew and cast, because it's still different than what they're used to.
Right.
So I use words like Mad Libs, and I use words, I talk about the documentary approach, meaning like, I don't want the camera to know exactly where the actor is moving to,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. And I always do that first take with very little direction, and over directing is a thing that I worry about and want to make sure I don't do. And it was easy not to do it on Bindle Stiffs because I was acting in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So that was like a nice, I read something, I can't remember who it was, but it was a great, I think it was a play, theater director wrote an essay about how the director should focus on like, the director should actively try to distract themselves like
Right.
with like little details,
Uh-huh.
instead of trying to get their muddy paws into the you got to let everyone do their job.
Yeah.
um and so I only really intervene like if beyond story, if there's something bad happening, if there's
Yeah.
like it's not going good.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
no, that's it.
No, yeah. So I mean, that's interesting to me because that is so like completely different from, like I said, the structured way of doing it. And a big part of this video essay is definitely the sort of catcher in the rye aspect of it all, because
Yeah,
this to me, this is Catcher in the Rye, the movie, in the most sort of like not just in the sort of retelling of the um story sort of way, but also like just in the feeling of it and all that. So like, do you think, because I feel like you captured something that made the Catcher in the Rye, which is one of the most like infamously impossible to adapt stories out there.
right,
Uh,
right.
yeah, like I think like the way that you did it was just like so completely new that it did it well. Like, what do you think other people have missed fundamentally about adapting this story specifically?
Well, legally, you can't do it, from my knowledge. Maybe that's changed since Shady Salinger died, but he refused to let it be adapted into a film or a TV series, as far as I was aware.
Right.
Um, but with parody law, it was a way to kind of, uh, I think that there are books like that even the shitty students with the ADD and the not, and the senioritis and all that shit,
Yeah.
like it catches them, and that's sort of the goal I think in English classes, right? It's like um, uh, get kind of one book that gets through to people, and Catcher in the Rye is definitely one of those. Was one of those for me,
Yeah.
and but it's a the text is being analyzed by it's as if Holden Caulfield read Holden Caulfield, like read The
Yeah.
Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah. No, that's definitely that's actually totally the angle that I'm taking with it, because like one of the
Yeah,
things that I really enjoy that you brought to the Catcher in the Rye story is that like we're not seeing it through the eyes of a rich kid. We're seeing it through the
right,
eyes of this rich kid who doesn't understand how like cringe he is, and he's living amongst people who have much harder lives. I mean, uh,
right,
I mean, it's such a like punk rock sort of like attitude and all that, like were all
right.
those things something that you really wanted to bring to it, as like a targeted goal for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of like I think mainly Catcher in the Rye inspired my character more than the story, or because and this idea of that he read half of
Yeah. Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
um, and that was always funny to me. I mean, a lot of it was just like, oh, that sounds, and then the banned book thing, which I mean, I think it aged well in that regard.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely. Unfortunately.
I think we lucked out. Like I rewatched it um, maybe a year ago, and I wouldn't really change a frame of it because it is what it was, and that I couldn't I would never re-edit it, or I don't really watch it like, oh, I wish I had done this instead, or anything like that. I'm like, oh no, this is I'm a fan of the movie still.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great movie.
Uh, yeah, but it just feels. I don't think I'll ever be able to make something that honest.
Uh-huh.
I try to, but to me, it is that you know whether it's successful for people or not. As a filmmaker, it's sort of my gold standard of just the purest filmmaking I could ever possibly do, just
Right.
because of where I was in my life and what the conditions of it were and how people were, how we were collaborating at that age. But it came out of a place of senioritis, of being ready to graduate,
Uh-huh.
um, and wanting to just make fucking movies. Um, and and also just a lot of bullshit censorship stuff happening at the school we were going to
Mhm.
at the time, and a
Interesting.
lot of like, you know, a lot of Marjorie Taylor Greens around in the upper administration there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. It is kind of looking back at it, like looking at it through the lens of now of like alt-right stuff and like, wokeism on the other side or whatever they call it, uh, those things did stand out to me. And yeah, watching, I was like, I bet there's going to be some real misogynistic shit in here, and there is, but it's coming from a place
Yeah.
of
A teenager.
ignorance. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Which,
agree, man. I agree. Like I don't feel like uh Bindlestiffs, even like in the indie scene, if it was made today, would get the sort of festival attention.
Oh, no way. No fucking way.
And it's a bummer, and it's a bummer, right? Because like I think one of the reasons why we got like all these Andrew Tate clowns and all this stuff like that is because we don't have the sort of perspective that like Bindle says is a part of, where it is just sort of like a lighthearted take on very teenagery feelings of inadequacy and masculinity and stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's
Um,
like acting like that as an adult is sort of heralded now.
yeah, yeah,
It's
no,
like people kind of worshiping these extremely immature minded people. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think that, like you're saying, it's a dirty, raunchy comedy, but we put a lot of intellectual like thought into, I always kind of create for myself when I approach a film sort of a list of rules, and I can break them, but
yeah.
sort of like guidelines under which I want to create. Um, and those can be practical stuff, but they're also thematic. Um,
Well, I mean, I don't think Andrew would have, your character Andrew
yeah,
would have done what he did if he was just allowed to finish reading the goddamn book, right?
yeah. If he had finished the book, is
Well, if
it?
he was allowed to, like if it was never
Oh,
like a
right, right. If
planned
he could,
thing,
yeah,
yeah, he would be able to explore it. And,
right. And
and
in
that
his dumb mind, it's like you can't even get a book if it's not at school.
that's true,
Like he's never heard of a fucking bookstore.
right?
Yeah, I consider my character to definitely be the dumbest. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has like I really love his arc where like it's sort of like a precursor to like fuck around and find out. He he
right,
he wanted that Holden Caulfield adventure, but like he got that Holden Caulfield adventure just like his own more insane way.
right. And he's sort of this quintessential undiagnosed bipolar kid, and so he's going through this mania and this depression and this these mood swings, whereas the other characters are kind of consistent.
Yeah.
He gets. I mean, he's a terrible person.
No, yeah, he
he,
definitely is, but that is like such a great dynamic too because like on his own like I think Catcher in the Rye is so good because like you get no escape from Holden's like mindset. When you read
right.
the book, you're
Yeah.
stuck there and like you get so annoyed with him. Like I always joke that like the reason why you make teenagers read Catcher in the Rye is so they can experience how annoying teenagers are.
Right. And just like, I think for Andrew, the character, it's like, it's okay to be him, is sort of what he's figuring out.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a piece of shit, especially at that age. But
Right.
the first step is sort of becoming aware of it. Whether he does or not,
Well,
is
to me, that's his journey. To me, like
right.
at the end of the movie, he sucks dick for crack.
There you
Like
go.
you can't,
Religious.
yeah, like I love that.
I yeah. I was supposed to see someone. I was supposed to see the redheaded guy. The I can't remember what we named him. If we did name him, the guy I bum cigarettes from, and he's in the car when I do it.
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to actually be like kind of seeing him blow the pimp,
Yeah.
uh, but the actor didn't want to do it, so I had to do.
Oh shit.
That's how much the story is affected by what happens on set.
That is
Uh,
that's wild to me because like that is such a like to me that's such a great like moment that like it's weird that that wasn't something that you worked up to, but
well,
that's
I think he. Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff we did not work up to. That's because I think when you work up to something, then you're kind of boxed in.
yeah.
You There's a certain amount of things I need to make sure strategically I don't know as a writer and a director before I show up on set, so that I'm like so that I get to this, like the stakes are high enough creatively for me to actually be coming up with new ideas on set,
Uh-huh.
versus if I storyboarded everything and planned every little beat and every line of dialogue is the same, and it's all that stuff, then I kind of would lose. It's kind of like burying yourself alive. It's like you kind of lose uh, that ability to get something in edgewise and be in that mental state of like creation, as opposed to like, let's, some directors, and they're great directors, approach it from, they do all their pre-production, all their planning, and then they just execute that plan, and it works for certain stories, but for the kind of thing I like to do, it's like it needs to be able to, we all need, it's like there needs to be some level of, and it results in like more failures and a higher probably failure success, like a more some shoots don't go well and some go, you know, great, but I feel like if I overplanned everything, it would just be in the middle all the time, you know.
Right.
Um, so blah 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 blah. But yeah, the crack smoking, dick sucking scene is heavily influenced by Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
I love
Uh,
that movie. Yeah.
yeah, and then we were also really influenced by the film Trash Humpers by Harmony
Okay.
Korine. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't
Uh,
seen that one, but that's one of those
as a,
movies that I'm kind of like afraid to see a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah, you should check it out. I think it's on Criterion's like streaming service now, or you should check it out because Harmony Korine said that he wanted to make a film that you would find on VHS in a ditch in a paper bag,
Yeah.
and then you would go put it in, and that was like the context with which he wanted the audience to like. That's the vibe he wanted to create, and I think that inspired us a lot too. Of like, we want to make a secret movie that like what you do. It's like I don't know. It's like when you started dating your girlfriend, you showed her Bindlestiffs, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it's like your movie to share with people. So to me, that makes it because I think there are cult movies that you couldn't really call a cult movie.
Right.
It's like, oh, it's a cult. It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. I
Yeah,
don't
it's too
consider
big,
that a cult
man.
movie anymore. You know,
Yeah.
it's got to be the ones that are being passed around and recommended. Uh, and the people that love this movie, it's like I don't care how many there are. I just care about how much they love it, and that it's we made that movie for you. And the other people that I've gotten to talk to about it that come out of the woodwork all the time.
Yes. So Bad Lieutenant Protocol and Trash Humpers, those were pretty like modern movies to the time you were making it. So how much of like sort of Bindle Stiffs as a teen sex comedy and all that, like how much of that was you like kind of working against the super bad and sort of paying more homage to the Trash Humpers and to the Bad Lieutenant?
Yeah, I mean, I think we considered the Virgin comedy to just sort of be the genre.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're pointing out something that's true is like I was not influenced like in a I was not thinking a lot about Superbad
Right.
or um I did kind of watch all of John Hughes movies and but I wasn't really studying high school movies because I didn't need to because I was living that.
Right.
It's like and I didn't want to be. Sometimes if a movie is too close to the movie I'm making, I don't want to watch it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, uh, and it's like a teen virgin comedy is not that complex, yeah. And so we sort of bringing in. I'm always influenced different. I take different aspects from movies. It's like that influence me, and then that way it's not derivative of one thing. um yeah, lensing it through is like just crazier films that I like more, midnight movie vibes. And that's the big thing that I love is I would go. My uncle lives in Park City, so as in high school I got to go, and through college I would go every year to Sundance and I would watch the movies
Hell yeah.
because he was a local there, so he'd get like a big discount on the tickets and everything.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of got they have a midnight movie section, so I would always go see that, and I got to see movies like I Saw the Devil and just these crazy wild ride movies, and then I got to see some really bad indie movies and feel like I could make one of these and it could be better than this maybe, not
Yeah.
that we did that, but and I got to go to Slam Dance, which happens at the same time in on the same street, and see like what they were doing, which was like holy shit, like these are really out there films. Because like what is the point of making an independent film if you're not doing something different with it? Like a lot of people go make their indie film and they're just trying to make it look like or feel like a real movie, which I think is like pretty silly.
Yeah,
uh,
no, the last movie I made, Unaired Pilot, like I made it at the height of my Death Grips fandom. So like I wanted to make this really abrasive, violent like movie that's essentially like a that kind of makes itself look like a happy-go-lucky sort of like romp, and then by the end is this horrifying domestic horror movie. Like
I
I,
love it genre bending too. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I do think that like maybe like because just like you, man, I used to like follow that indie movie like blog scene so much, find out about all these obscure things. By the
Right.
way, out of curiosity, are you a Vinegar Syndrome fan?
I haven't seen that. What is that?
Oh no, no, Vinegar Syndrome is it's kind of like a Criterion, but like exclusively for the sort of like obscure
Oh,
B
cult film
movie.
preservation and releasing. This looks sick.
Dude, yeah, I cannot tell you. Like I fell in love with that fucking company this year, dude. Like it's all awesome
Cool.
shit like that. And check out their partner labels too.
Well,
Um
I gotta sell in my next movie.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, they would too, man. They would probably pick it up.
oh, we get the rights to Bindlestiffs back in 3 years, so
Oh, good shit.
we're gonna try to sell it again. Either that or I'm just gonna put it in public domain.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, like I hope there's like a like a lot more fervor for it, so you could do something cool with it, man. Because I really do think this is a very special movie. But
Thank you.
like I think like how do you feel the indie scene specifically has changed from the time that Bindle Stiffs came out to where it is now in terms
I
of
think it's yeah, I think it's dying.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, you know, the when we were like we're talking about how this movie could not have succeeded as to the extent that it did.
Mhm.
Now it's like when the film was on Redbox, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, but that was because they weren't making movies yet. They were buying indie films.
Right.
And now they're shitting in their own mouths, you know, and they're putting out so much content and it all sucks. And so like sites like this are awesome, and Shutter and IFC Midnight and things like that, where there's still a little bit, but I mean, the amount of movies. I don't have facts to back this up, but I would say the amount of well, I do because the amount of movies that are selling out of Sundance
Uh-huh.
even has gone down. I mean, to like one or two,
Yeah.
and then but a lot of films in Sundance aren't even indie movies at
Yeah.
all. And that used to be true, but only for like 4 or 5 movies that were like the big ones, that
Hack
they
Raff movies.
right exactly. And yeah, it sucks, but it's all I like to do, so I'm not gonna let that stop me
Right,
from
right.
from doing it. But I mean, the film I'm making, Technoburger, is a horror comedy anthology.
Okay.
So it's like different little stories. It's like just my own fucked up kind of Goosebumps, Twilight Zone kind of thing. And I did that because first of all, I loved the short film format, and this was a way to get. No one's going to pay you to make a short film,
Right.
or give you money to make a short film, because it's not. Even investors who know they're like throwing their money at an art project they want to think that there's some chance of it.
Like,
Not a lot of people sitting down watching short films.
yeah.
But so even that, I could potentially try to sell that as individual chapters so it's secretly hiding as a little mini series if it had to be.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you saw, I Think You Should Leave.
Oh
That
yeah, love that.
that's like 15-minute episodes.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of, I mean, Adult Swim kind of got that form going, and we were also very influenced by Tim and Eric, and they're specifically Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that movie's fucking wild.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
But then just trying to like put that through like more of a realistic vibe. But yeah, so yeah, it sucks where indie film is at. I kind of I wish Hollywood would eat itself faster.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've been waiting for that too, man. Like, I'm
right,
not gonna lie, like it sucks seeing all these movies fail and like the industry hurting, but I think that's something the industry's needed for a fucking
right.
long time.
And I don't make films to succeed for them
Yeah,
to succeed. I don't know, like I don't. That's not what my focus is on. It's on. I mean, yeah, this is. I always joke that this is a money losing operation. You know,
right.
um, uh, and maybe you get lucky or whatever, but that's not why you make a film.
Mhm.
Especially now when it's like, you know, it's more like the theater scene now of just there's you have a dedicated audience. But yeah, for me it's really about just kind of getting this pieces of myself and being able to express those things as kind of cheesy as it sounds, and then you know, finding an audience is, if it's 5 people that connect with it, that's just as good to me as if it's 5 million people.
Yeah.
And that, so I leave that stuff is sort of up to fate. It's like, I have no idea. Like, if this next movie I make, I have no idea if until I test screen it, I won't even know how funny it is,
Yeah.
or if it is funny, or if it's working, or you know. But that's the excitement of it, is sort of like not regretting. I have to be able to want to wake up every day and work on this thing and
Uh,
pour tireless unpaid hours into, and then I need to invite other people to do that with me.
right.
So I think that's one of the reasons I waited to make another film, is like, you also need to be in the right place mentally to be able to like take that on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge amount of work to do. So it's very exciting to be doing that again.
Yeah.
And
Also, like, I mean, for me, it's harder the older you get because like your friends aren't just like a bunch of like buddies hanging out in your garage anymore. Y'all got
right,
families and
you got rent, you
careers.
got life, and
Yeah.
yeah. uh no, that's true. And so I think it was great because we were able to sort of wait until we reached that other side of that, out of the 20s, and
Mhm.
in the early 30s, of like, okay, now people actually are back to some stability in their life, like they have some flexibility to pull this off, uh but it's a small team of people who it's worth their time and effort and passion, because this is the kind of thing they want to be doing, and it's a stepping stone all the time. I kind of want to, what I've been doing, or my plan, is to sort of double my budget every time. So
Uh-huh.
I make it a little bit, up to an extent. So it's like, we made Bindlestis for 30K. This one I'm making for about 100K.
Yeah.
Bindlestis is probably more like 35, 50 by the time, 40 by the time it got finished out. But you know, and that's such a small amount of money
Yeah.
for what it takes. And um it's definitely a very different scene, but I think that I'm finding that the casting crew is even more excited to have this opportunity to do this stuff, because it's a rarer opportunity now.
Yeah.
um, you know which is such a shame, though. It's a shame, but hopefully it turns around. Things come
Yeah.
in waves, I think, especially in the film. And I have to believe that there's another great film renaissance coming. I don't know.
I
I think,
feel it, bro. I
yeah,
think it is.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think like Hollywood right now is such a repeat of the 60s that the 70s are inevitable. And
Right.
that's my favorite decade of cinema right
Yeah,
there.
we're in the early 60s right now.
Well, I mean, well, we're in the 60s. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's still good stuff being made. I mean, I still see films I love. I'm not saying like everything sucks at all.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so can you speak at all as like to like your experiences with getting the film picked up by Kevin Smith and
Sure.
Smodco and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we lucked out. Kevin was like in a depressed state, and so he decided he claimed he wasn't going to make movies anymore, and it was going to kind of put other people's movies out.
Yeah.
And he did that, and it went. I think he's not doing that anymore, as from
Yeah.
what I understand.
Been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, did he do? Because I the in 2014 I brought him The Dirties.
Okay.
Uh, did you see that one?
I haven't seen the Dirties now.
Oh, okay. And then as far as I know, there hasn't been another one. Um, but I mean, it was great. We got, it's like, I don't have real contact with him anymore. I'm sure I could. But I mean, Clerks we actually had joked around about like, what if Kevin Smith like put his name on our movie? Like, this was way like when we were making it. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And Clerks, I love that film, and was a big inspiration, as but yeah, I mean, he was really awesome about it. I got Final Cut. The the company that was handling it
Uh-huh.
was different than Smodcast. Smodcast was they worked with an actual development company. I mean, a distributor called Phase 4, which
Okay.
is a Canadian company. This was their first film to put out, so in many ways we were the guinea pig.
Okay.
Uh, so I think on an advertising level and on a getting it out there level, maybe it wasn't ideal, but man, I mean, I can't. I feel very lucky, and believe me, I use Kevin's name all the time.
Yeah.
You
No,
know, when it comes to hiring interns and promoting the Kickstarter and all those things, like it's been very helpful for my career to have had him involved in the film.
yeah.
And I mean, I think he's a great guy. I'm really happy for him. I think he's doing. He seems really healthy, and I love his approach to, like, I loved Red State.
I love
You
Tusk,
know,
man. A lot of people shit on Tusk. I think that movie's gold.
right. So yeah, I got to go. I was at the premiere of that to the Toronto Film Festival, and I fucking love that movie. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
How was it? How was it seeing that at the premiere? Was that the first time anybody saw it?
Yeah, I think so.
What was
Uh,
that like?
it was great. I mean, and it was a ton. I mean, Canada, like everyone loves Kevin Smith in Canada. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, it was a great response. Yeah, I don't understand why people don't like that film. I don't get that. I don't know. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, to me, it actually kind of reminds me of Bindle Sips in a way where it's like this wild, wacky fucking movie, and then like in the last like 5 minutes, it just reaches this real emotional core that's just like a gut punch, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think there's one of the differences between, I think Hollywood comedies, which barely exist anymore.
Yeah. You know
uh,
what? I'm actually working on a video essay called "Judd Apatow Killed Cinematic Comedy" because
right.
my hypothesis is this: if you view comedies as a value thing, right? You go to see a comedy movie to see like professional comedy writers who are funnier than you could ever be. Write jokes for comedians who are funnier than you or any of your friends to perform them. And
Right.
directed by people who want to maximize comedy from a director level, from a costume design level, from all that shit. Like if you look at like
Right.
Dumb and Dumber, everything about that movie is funny. The
Right.
costume design, the script, the all that shit, right? Whereas if
Yeah.
you look at a Judd Apatow comedy, what is it? It's two kind of funny guys improving in living rooms.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it became more that
Yeah.
as they went on. Maybe the real time the shark got jumped was when Funny People came out.
See, that's funny. I just abandoned a video essay on funny people because I couldn't like fucking
No,
stand.
well, no one's gonna want to watch it, so that's fine. You should. A broader category is better.
No, yeah, that was another thing too, man. Like the whole thing that I was going for with that one was like, like this is not a great movie, but like it's such a weird mix of like who he was and who he is. It got really pretentious really quick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was sort of like him in his most confused state, and a funny movie about people who think they're funny.
Yeah.
you know
And that
but
stops
I
being
mean,
funny
I
after.
like Judd Apatow. I mean, I grew up on his movies. I like a lot of what he's produced, and but I think you could say the same about Spielberg in action movies. And some of these great people are, they contribute so many great films, but then Hollywood just like gets brainwashed by their success and tries to replicate it, and then when they can't, they give up on the genre entirely.
Right.
uh,
Well,
which they're hopefully doing now with superhero movies. So we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah. Hopefully. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I think actually this is 40 is what broke Judd Apatow because I think
Oh,
like
you're right. That one's worse. Yeah.
yeah, because Judd Apatow, it really is just, Paul Rudd, like, I just want to like film you having sexual chemistry with my wife for like a few months for no
Right. Right.
purposes
Yeah.
than
He's very.
sex.
Yeah. 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 Totally.
Um,
Oh, big influence on Bindle Stiffs too. Like in terms of older movies, is like The Jerk was a
uh,
huge influence. I love that film with Steve Martin. I don't know if you've watched that in a while, but
I haven't seen that one, unfortunately.
oh, you should watch The Jerk, man. That's uh, the Dumb and Dumber of the '80s, or I think it
Yeah.
was '80s.
No, I've been meaning to go back to watch like older comedies, dude, because like especially like the Zucker fucking comedies like Airplane and shit,
Oh yeah, yeah,
gold. Let's see a couple last things about Catcher in the Rye here.
sure.
Yeah, so
Right, that's what this thing's about. Sorry.
yeah. So honestly, this has been a great conversation. But like Catcher in the Rye, like there's a lot of elements about like its reputation, like that whole subplot about the dude, the security guard at the school thinking they're gonna shoot up the school and stuff like that. It speaks so much to,
Right.
like its reputation. Like how
Yes, I was more influenced by the kind of people's response to the book than even the
uh,
book itself. Yeah.
yeah. So like for you, like this will kind of be like the last main thing here. Like for you, like what did like you really want to get across about how you viewed Catcher in the Rye, not just like the story, but its reputation. When it comes to that specifically, what did you really want to say about like making it like the sort of almost adaptation of your movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the like political, societal level, and you know, this idea that like uh, that artistic works can be dangerous,
Mhm.
because they'll inspire the wrong people to, you know, do things like kill John Lennon, or
Right,
you know, uh, the Columbine shooters and all those kinds uh, uh, of things. You know, it's like blaming video games for violence and things like that, and that really ties into the whole like banned book thing and the censorship stuff.
right,
Uh, and so I think that like I wanted to. I think a lot of the reason that the kids, and this might be true of Catcher in the Rye, is like that insulation results in them like going the complete opposite way to another extreme, because extremes are all they know. And the other thing with Holden's character was like, I think in high school, everything is like every little thing that happens to you is like
yeah,
either the best or the worst thing.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's and Holden Caulfield is that way of like, you know, the drama is high even over small, you know, situations.
yeah.
And that was always like something that, you know, Catcher in the Rye gave me to play with, and trying to be true to that. But yeah, my concern was, it's funny because I was never really concerned with doing Catcher in the Rye justice,
Yeah.
adapting Catcher in the Rye in a real way. It's a character in the movie
Yeah.
that drives the plot. You know, it's the Bible.
That
uh,
makes, yeah, I can see that.
yeah, and uh, you
That is,
know, if you ban the books, then the kids don't get to finish them or ever figure out what anything means. Um, you know,
then they
and I
suck
think
dick for crack.
right, and so they end up sucking dick for crack. If you just let them read the book, then they can experience things like that.
Yeah,
You know,
on healthier terms.
yeah, but yeah, it's really the censorship thing, the idea that people are the considers things to be, you know, toxic, or that you could give a piece of work that much influence, you know, and or use it as a weaponize it as a way to serve a political agenda. Like those things were like really pissing me off at the time, and they continue to piss me off.
Yeah.
And so Catcher in the Rye felt like the right one. I mean, you know, what were my other options of Mice and Men? You know, it's like that would have been a different
Yeah.
that would have been a different book. But yeah, it's funny. You're making me want to go back and read it again.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I've been reading. It's actually the first time I read it since like I was like 19. And Holden is so much more annoying when you're in your 30s, man.
right, but his I bet,
Yeah.
uh, but his loneliness too was a big thing. Like that, I think all of those three guys were friends because part of why they connected was their desperation, but also their loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, and even though they have people around, you know, it's like you think about they have very tragic home lives.
Yeah.
You never know what. I guess Andrews is unspeakable, but you know, Luke with the drunk mom,
Yeah.
and then the super conservative adopted parents
Yeah.
of John, and kind of this idea that it's like they're neglected, and
Yeah.
they're trying to parent each other,
That's
you know,
very true.
each other sex ed, and you know.
Hearing this makes me want to rewatch Bindle Sips with knowing that this was on your mind. That's interesting. Yeah, that's totally there. You're right.
Yeah, I think people when they talk to me about the movie, they expect me to be like funnier or whatever.
Uh,
but it's like, you know, we took it really seriously of what we were trying to like say and do, and then in the moment we would find the comedy there,
Yeah.
and we would plan their skewed logic. You
Uh-huh.
know, it's like, oh, he's gonna think that a positive means, it's like negative means bad news, or they're gonna think that the homeless lady is, this is maybe going online, so R wording the
Yeah.
the John, or
I mean, yeah, she
you
did.
know they have to lose their virginities, and that has some level of like they're doing it to prove something to each other more than themselves, and they're actually traumatizing themselves. They're on a
Yeah.
journey to traumatize themselves because they haven't gotten to like experience enough brutality and pain yet, because they've been so protected by their school, and anything that's like challenging or could rattle them is
Yeah.
taken away.
Yeah.
uh, so
Yeah, and I mean that is pretty much Holden Caulfield's journey too. He's never got to experience real shit, and he finds out that he's not quite capable of banging a hooker, you know?
right, exactly. And yeah, and then also just that whole toxic masculinity thing, because that was around when I'd love to hear Andrew Tate do an audiobook of Catcher in the Rye. I would read that. I
I
would
think I
listen to
think I think it would just be a slow, shocking realization that he is
that. Yeah, he's just
still
starting to piece it
Holden
all
Caulfield.
together. Yeah, that would cure him.
For
But yeah,
real.
that toxic masculinity shit was like still was really starting. People were starting to like think about that and point that out and ridicule it, which is great. I mean, I think as a dumb straight white male, I like to explore that,
Yeah,
and I think that that's where I have things to say,
yeah,
because I am one. And my worst fear would be becoming like my characters in some
right,
ways.
yeah,
And I think that maybe JD Salinger, it's that shitty little kid in him that he was tapping into. Uh, and I think that there's something really fun about exploring, like thinking of something like, you know if I don't be a good person, if I don't have morals, or if I don't educate myself, or make healthy choices in my life, then I could become this way. you
yeah,
know um and so that was like a fun. And I think in high school you're so worried about your future, and you're
yeah,
trying to rush into becoming an adult. And I think that's obviously a huge part of Catcher in the Rye,
right,
and something that those kids were doing. So yeah, it was definitely like thematic and character, that obviously what is where we were adapting things, but it's more of an impressionistic adaptation than obviously,
yeah.
and like a meta thing that we thought was fun to do.
Right.
you know
Yeah.
um,
No,
yeah,
dude, honestly, that's pretty much it as far as my
great.
questions go, man. Do you know I mean, is there anything you like to like impart that we haven't touched on?
uh let's see, sign up for my mailing list for my film Techno Burger.
Eh? No, yeah, plug it, bro. Plug it up.
You go to technoburgermovie.com. You can check out the trailer, and we should have a little mailing. I think we have a little mailing list thing there, where we have a nice network of people where we like hit them up and ask, see who has props, or connections and things like that. Just like because it's really a community thing to make a movie on this level.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so yeah, I'm excited for you to see that. You should check out the trailer too. Do you need a copy of Bindlestiff to use?
Oh no, I have my DVD here.
Oh, okay, but for the video essay?
Oh, I have it ripped on my computer and all that ready to go.
Okay, is it in 1080p?
No, it's not, but I'll take it if you got it.
Yeah, yeah. Let me give you the. I'm excited to see it. What's your channel so I can
Pop counterculture.
pop counterculture?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I just my last big video essay was
I
on
love
Darren
it.
Aronofsky's Noah and the Christian backlash towards it.
I love it. I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
watch a bunch of these.
hell yeah, bro. I'm thank you for that.
You got to crank them out, and that's a quite a hustle.
Yeah, yeah, no, and especially that one was like I didn't plan on it, but that one turned out to be like 93 minutes long, so it took a fucking long ass time to just put together, you know?
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Um, but
So
yeah, Techno Burger.
yeah, here's the we did like a little teaser. You'll still have no idea what it's about, but this was for crowdfunding. Um, but yeah, I'll be doing like test screening. Where are you based, Holmes?
I'm in the Central Valley in California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Here in Brooklyn now. Let's see, where is the chat? Chat. Oh, here, I can just text it to you.
Yeah,
There you
for sure.
go. Cool. Yeah. And if you think of anything else, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be related to Catcher in the Rye. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just fascinated by the dark and light side of that film, that book's impact
Yeah.
on people, and yeah, I can't believe that 10 years later, there's books are being banned even more.
Yeah, right.
There's even more of that fear of stories.
Yeah, it's
You
weird.
know?
It's weird how like when I was, I grew up in I was born in 1988, so like I grew up in the puritanical 90s, and then
Right.
my adolescence came during like the raunchy 2000s and the indie sleaze, and
Yeah.
like I'm just slowly watching society like, did we forget how much fun being a freak was, guys? Because like it's pretty
Right.
dope.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now you have to, and everything's so niche. Now you have to be a certain type of freak that has these other freaks that are with you. You know, it's like to get away with it, has to be like a trend or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. I mean, I think that there's definitely an aspect of that in there, and we were starting to feel like this. That I was, in 2010, we were starting to feel like that was going away.
yeah.
We started seeing that slip away. So I think we were trying to like really put a big dose of it out there, and I'm glad we got it out there. I mean, my films are not. My next film is it's a different type of comedy. It's
Uh-huh.
still cringe. It's still got the horror elements and the genre bending and stuff, but we're just I mean, I'm not in that place in my life of being like a horny teen.
Right.
Uh, and
More in a
and so
techno burger place.
yeah, exactly. Whatever that's gonna be. Yeah. So I really appreciate it, man. It's great. It's great hearing from you. And I passed along your email to Luke. He
Oh,
couldn't be
awesome.
here, but and then I'll let John know about it too. And hit me up with the video essay when it's done.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely will. As soon as I have like a cut before fucking YouTube comes and bothers me about copyright, I'll send it your way.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what to do there. You probably could get away with you just put like put weird score under it or something.
Yeah,
Lower our voices, pitch shift us. Yeah,
yeah,
you have my permission to fuck it up.
hell yeah. All right, cool. I'll get all fucking death grips on that shit, bro.
And if you need anything else, just hit me up and I can put the same shirt on and answer a different question if you need me to.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you very much. I'm going to let you go, man.
All
Thanks for
right.
your time
Great to
again.
meet you, Eduardo.
Nice to meet you too, Andrew. Take care, man.